People who separated, divorced within 1 year of getting married. When did you know it was a mistake?
Day after we got engaged. He changed. Then he uninvited my family to the wedding, said they would take my attention away from him. We lasted 3 months, and then I ran and hid. The next morning I woke up and thought, when would be a socially acceptable time to get divorced? In hindsight, that says miles about why I felt I had to get married.
She went out for girls' night and met a new friend named Nicole at a bar. Started texting her a lot, then going to hang out now and then. We had a baby at home and she kept trying to go hang out with this girl from another town over with no last name whom I was not allowed to meet. His real name was Wesley.
The day after we got married, when he slapped me across the face hard and completely out of the blue. No argument, no conversation leading up to it, nothing. He said it wasn't that hard of a hit, he was just kidding around, and I was being overdramatic. He had never gotten violent with me while dating, but as soon as we got married it was like a switch flipped and he was a completely different person. It got worse very quickly, and I ended up filing for divorce 73 days after we got married.
She decided she was in love with her stepbrother a month after we got married. When I caught my new bride having a workplace affair while I was receiving cancer treatments. It was not a pleasant time for me.
A cousin of mine divorced her husband after 6 months. She knew when we had to pick her up from her home after having been recently beaten. That day, we packed up all of her stuff and never let her go back.
I knew it was a mistake about 2 months into our engagement. I actually broke up with her for a week but didn't tell anyone other than my parents. Something just didn't feel right. She ended up begging me every single day and I just felt really bad and got back with her. We pretended like it never happened. Got married 9 months later and she ended up cheating on me a little over a year into our marriage. I still don't fucking understand her logic behind all that, but whatever. It's done and I've moved on, but I'll never understand why she wanted me back so badly and did that not even 2 years later. Edit. Geez, thanks guys and gals for the kind words and chats. If you're going through a rough patch, it does get better. One day at a time. I've remarried and we're planning on starting a family soon. Would have never imagined rebuilding after what happened with my ex. Keep the faith and things will turn around. My Mill got married the first time when she was really young. Left him a month later. Turns out he was a raging alcoholic. She had no idea because her family was super overprotective and they were never really allowed to spend time together alone before they got married. Who knew spending time with someone could be the key to knowing if they are a good partner? When I was in Iraq and she posted a picture on Facebook of her and another guy laying in bed together, it was obvious that they had just hooked up. Don't get married to fix relationships. Pro-life tip.
When I found out he had $500K in debt that he hadn't told me about beforehand. Yes, we had a prenup. He just lied about it on the prenup.
When she fucked her ex within the first 6 months.
The day after the wedding, when he poked me in the chest and said, "You're going to do what I say whether you like it or not." Big mistake. My brother died a week after the wedding, and after about 2 months, he told me that was just too big of a thing to happen in the beginning of a marriage. I tried for 6 more months and then just gave up. Not me, but my cousin and her husband met at work. Both independent and career-focused. When they got back from the honeymoon, he immediately started treating her like his mom and told her she would need to give up work to look after the house. No talk of that before the wedding at all. I think they lasted 4 weeks married. Not me, but my brother. We grew up on a ranch. Bro's girlfriend comes from the city, but during visits to the ranch, she dives right in, helping our mom around the house and participating in all the stuff we do, horseback riding, ATVs, etc., and claiming and appearing to love it. Brother's so happy his city gal is compatible with the ranch lifestyle he grew up in, even though he is now working in the city and their life will be in the city. He just loved that she was able to connect with him that way and more importantly, with his family. They date for approximately 18 months, make many visits to the ranch, and all is well. She insists that she wants to have her wedding at my parents' home. My folks go all out, have both families there, everyone has a great time. The next morning, we have a send-off breakfast for the couple. They head to the airport for their honeymoon. My mom and bride's mom are visiting afterward and bride's mom mentions she's glad my mom had no hard feelings that her daughter and my brother will no longer be coming out to the ranch. My mom is like, what do you mean? Bride's mom says, oh, I thought Laura told you that having the wedding here was her gift to you to have your son home one last time with all his family here. My mom goes white as a sheet. We all are stunned. We are confused as to whether my brother knows this, and more importantly, has agreed to this. My other brother, who has his own history of family drama, texts our big bro saying, is it true that this is your last time visiting mom and dad? And big bro texts back, what are you talking about? Middle bro says, ask your new wife. Needless to say, the honeymoon never happens. It turns out that his wife had been hiding her belief that that man leaves his family behind and becomes part of the woman's family. It was fully her intent to never visit my parents again, to spend all holidays at her parents' home, to have any future children only have relationships with her family, and on and on. My brother literally had no idea these were her beliefs, desires. To this day I don't know if she was evil or just clueless. They remained married for about a month until the divorce was final, but my bro never saw her again after the day after wedding day. Not me but my dad. He got back from his honeymoon and went back to work. He came home and something felt off when he walked in the door. She wasn't home when she never ever failed to be home when he got there. When she got back he mentioned that it was weird that she had been out and asked if she went somewhere. She dodged his questions at first, but eventually she admitted that she'd quit her job and was planning on using him as her cash cow. He tried counseling and asked her to get her job back but she always brushed him off and never took him seriously. He threw in the towel 7 months later and she started trying to fix things, but it had been 7 months of him trying to fix things and she had no interest. So he filed for divorce and went on to achieve his lifelong dream. He dated and then married his middle school crush, my mom. 28 years strong. Got married in late May. By August or September I found out from my dad that he was sexting my brother's wife, who was my bridesmaid at our wedding. She felt guilty and told my dad, who had to tell me. I forgave him like a dingus and about a year and a half later I found pictures of him sucking 2 different dicks in our house and also wearing quite a bit of my nice makeup. All of this after we moved to Washington from Florida. It's been wild. We're obviously divorced now. A cousin of mine married someone who seemed like the perfect woman. They worked in the same store together, and he would brag about how his wife was getting promoted quickly in the company. A few months into the marriage, she tells him she's going out with friends for the evening. An hour or so later, my cousin gets a call from one of his friends. The friend saw her having dinner in a restaurant with the manager of the store that they both worked at. Once he confronted her about it, that was basically the end of the marriage. Less than a year into actively trying to get pregnant he got discouraged, gave up and started staying out until 4:15 a.m. with his coworker. He posted selfies on her couch on Snapchat and even went as far as asking her to marry him once he could get rid of me. He had 2 biological children, my stepchildren, that he abandoned at home with me while he was out doing this. The icing on the cake was that on my favorite holiday, while holding my brand new baby nephew in front of his entire family, he told me he wanted a divorce. I was gone in 2 weeks, left everything to him, and vanished. New number, new address, everything. Best choice I ever made.
When she pulled a knife a month in, I still stayed for a full year like an idiot.
A couple of weeks into our marriage, the sex started to physically hurt. I went to my OB and after a test or two, she informed me I had contracted chlamydia. That's when I knew. Turns out, my newlywed husband had been banging his coworker for months. Not me but a female friend knew approximately 4 to 6 weeks into marriage. Her husband at the time basically spent a few years prior to marriage being a bit of a salesman to everyone. Once they got behind closed doors, his traditional marriage roots really came out. They both had fast-moving careers, and while he was okay with her making money and having a career, he also expected her to cook, clean, take care of the dogs, etc., and never lifted a finger. He would just come home and pound drinks until dinner time.
Not technically within a year, but when I returned from my first deployment, 10 months, I found out she had been sleeping with 3 of my buddies. Told her to pack her shit and get the fuck out. Friend of mine. Very religious couple, never had sex before marriage. Told H she was gay 2 weeks before their 1 year. Not a year, but about 18 months. She was constantly complaining she didn't have friends after moving in with me. Joined a local soccer team, and she talked about one teammate non-stop for months. I had a bad feeling about it from the get-go, but she assured me they were just friends, and how dare I not trust her. Thought I was going crazy because my gut told me something wasn't right, but I was punishing myself for being a bad husband and not trusting my wife. Turned out it was all true. She had been fucking the teammate for months. Most likely fucked someone else during our engagement. Split amicably officially as of last week without any mess, thank God.